And we are live. Welcome on in, everybody, to the second post-race show to a Chicago Cup Street Race. And I see purple in the chat for Bowman. I see people angry. I see people happy. So let me know. Let's just lead on in right now. Out of 10, 10 being the best race you've ever seen, 1 being the 2008 Brickyard. What did you think of this race? Let me know down there as well. I have it muted behind me, but before we get into anything about the race, and I'm seeing y'all spamming away, and it is very mixed. We have a lot of 7 and 8s, and then a lot of 3 and 2s. There are a lot of angry people and a lot of happy people. And by the way, my apologies. I don't know. I got like maybe a Steve Letarte, Rick Allen thing still. A lot of yelling the last couple days. But we do have the playoff standings as we roll right now. With Alex Bowman getting that win, he's in. I do not know what's up with my throat all of a sudden. I've been fine all day, and now all of a sudden I have a frog in my throat. Martin Truex Jr. is 13th, plus 125. Ty Gibbs is plus, I believe that is 84. In 14th, Ross Chastain plus 53. In 15th, 16th is Chris Buescher, 45 above Bubba Wallace in the 17th spot. He's about the only one points-wise that has any shot, I think, of making it in. Chase Briscoe minus 88 on the cut line now in 18th. Kyle Busch minus 98. And Todd Gilliland 20th in points minus 121. Well, we are definitely going to be talking a lot about this race in both this year as well as just total. But first, we need to go over the finishing order. Be sure to lick the like button, everybody. We have over 700 already in here in 3 minutes. I want to see how far we can get that like button up. And subscribe if you're new. We do this after every race, not just the big ones. But let's get into it. This race, the Grant Park 165, which was shortened to 75 laps from 100 laps last year, lasted 58 this year. For 2 hours, 19 minutes and 19 seconds, 9 lead changes among 6 leaders, and 5 caution flags on the day, and I believe, over 90-minute red flag. Alex Bowman is your winner. Say what you want. Say he backed into it. Say that he doesn't deserve it. Say yada, yada, yada. He is your winner. And looking down the all-time wins list, that ties him for 70th all-time with Kyle Petty at 8 total wins. His 8th career win was by 2.863 seconds over Tyler Reddick. Ty Gibbs in 3rd. Joey Hand, great run by him today. Just didn't have enough to hold Alex back, and the 2 ties got past him. But a 4th place run for the Hand. Let's spam some hands in the chat for Joey Hand after a pretty damn good run. After that, you got Michael McDowell with a 5th place run today. About the best that anyone involved with the White Sox will do all year. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 6th. 7th is Todd Gilliland. William Byron, after being towards the back of the pack for much of the day, after having some bad luck with strategy and NASCAR throwing cautions early on, comes back to an 8th place finish. 9th is Kyle Busch. 10th is Ryan Blaney. Then you got Daniel Suarez in 11th. Daniel Hemrick in 12th. Bubba Wallace recovers to a 13th place finish. Noah Gragson in 14th. Cindric, he'll come home in the 15th spot. Justin Haley, 16th. 17th, Zane Smith. Brad Keselowski falls from, I believe, 3rd on the final restart to 18th position. Again, those wets were falling off quick. The slicks were fast. NBC is already done with NASCAR coverage. Granted, they did go over. But very rough for a lot of those guys who had tried to just tough it out at the end. Austin Dillon, 19th. 20th is Chris Buescher. And Chase Elliott, his top 20 streak ends at Chicago, ends at a road course. 21st position for Chase Elliott, his worst finish, I believe, of the season, or at least in a long-ass time. Ross Chastain, 22nd. Joey Logano, 23rd. Back to reality for you Logano fans. Carson Hocevar fell all the way back to 24th. Harrison Burton, 25th. Kaz Grala, 26th. Corey LaJoy, 27th. Josh Bilicki, solid run for that team, in 28th on the day. Eric Jones, 29th. Denny Hamlin, a dismal 30th. Austin Hill, 31st. Chase Briscoe, 32nd. Martin Truex Jr., 33rd. And 34th, last in the lead lap, is Ryan Preece. John Hunter Nemechek in 35th, and Josh Berry in 36th were a lap down. Christopher Bell, best guy out there today. I think better than SVG. 37th, out of the race at the end after a bit of a mix-up and involvement in a wreck with Martin Truex Jr. and Carson Hocevar. AJ Allmendinger, 38th on the day. Kyle Larson, 39th, out. Both of these guys out of this race. And Shane Van Gisbergen, 40th, last out of this race. The bottom four were arguably, I would say three of them were the three biggest favorites in Bell, Larson, and SVG. And AJ Allmendinger, I think still because of being a road ringer, very much should be considered a favorite heading into these races. A very topsy-turvy finishing lineup to this race after just a topsy-turvy race overall. I'm going to put this poll out here because Alex Bowman won, and not every one of his wins, but many of his wins end in a track's last race or something ending in just bad luck. So I'm gonna give you guys a poll right now, just yes or no. Do you want the Chicago street race back next year? Because I'm seeing a lot of a polarization about it in the chat. But at the same time, you also can have either a very loud minority of people or a quiet majority, whatever it might be. I want to know what you think on this, because neither year has had in any way a good run at it because of the weather, because of planning, because of you name it. So if it will allow me, poll starting now. I'm seeing you're spamming it in the chat. I'm seeing a lot of yeses, a lot of nos. I have a feeling it's going to be a good amount yes, but I'm surprised because last year it was a lot more yes than no than right now. Yeah, we'll be doing plenty of polls in this one. Speaking of polls, let's talk about the start of this race. The poll was Kyle Larson. He's the man who sat on poll today. We knew that there was going to be rain in the area, and it immediately started raining and sprinkling as soon as NASCAR fired the engines. With that, the race was postponed partially for that, partially because, and I give props to NBC for not showing it, not giving these people the time that they don't deserve on a broadcast like this. Partially, it was postponed because there was actually a protester on the fence who had handcuffed themselves to the top of the catch fence that they climbed on. So they basically had to get that idiot down. My vote, I'm just going to say this now, my vote, I say if people want to handcuff themselves to the fence, we start the race and we see how much they really mean what they're complaining about, whatever it is. Yeah, that's something that happened. It's dumb. I get it. By the way, I have another poll that will run after we get through the first stage here. NASCAR, though, props on them, gave the drivers and teams the option. Do you want slicks or do you want the damp tires? They gave them that option. We asked for that at New Hampshire. Luckily, they have that now with the road course wet weather situation. That's how it should be. I think that's how it should be at New Hampshire, at Martinsville, you name it on the ovals they do it with. I like giving the best people in the world the option. So anyway, we start off the race. Gibbs is the one leading early. And it's a very orderly start for the most part. I think a lot of people thought that it was just going to go completely stupid haywire, and it didn't. It didn't. It actually, I think for a good part of the day, it was actually a pretty decent showing and race. So I'm not gonna swing one way or the other too much. I want to let it sink in, at least as this goes on. But there was just a lot of sprinkles. A lot of people had to get wets because of it. And I'll give NBC credit to this. They definitely were trying to put more side-by-side coverage in. You could tell they actually had this circled as a major event, which I think is how all NASCAR races should be treated, with the best possible coverage. Anyway, Lap 11, SVG ends up leading. The leaders who are, I believe, on slicks catch the lap cars who are on wet weather tires. And because it's a bit drier, those tires weren't able really to hook up. And a lot of good guys like Byron, like Logano, others like that, were lapped early because they just didn't have the right equipment to run fast. And through that lap traffic, SVG gets past Ty Gibbs, starts pulling away. You're thinking, oh man, this might be his race. But Christopher Bell was running him down. And I will say this now, I think Christopher Bell had the absolute best car out there. And I think he would have passed SVG had Corey LaJoie not crashed and caused a caution. It's your weekly Corey LaJoie spin, crash, or otherwise something that brings out a yellow. So SVG wins the first stage over Bell, Gibbs, Briscoe, and Larson in the top 5. Bowman, Bubba, Gilliland, Reddick, and Suarez the top 10. We're going to end the poll right here. 65% of you want the Chicago street race back next year. 35% of you say no. So still a good majority want it back. But last year, if I'm not mistaken, this was closer to 80%. By the way, we do have the poll up on the community tab for this race. I asked what you thought of the Grant Park 165. That one, again, bit of a polarized poll. But overall, the first stage I thought was pretty good. It starts raining a bit during this as well. And with this, you got, because first off, big thing. That's before we get too far into anything. The race off pit road. Bell won the race off pit road. This ultimately had some big effects later on, but there was a big bottleneck too that I thought was kind of funny. Not going to lie. Zane Smith had stayed out as well. He had the wet weather tires. I believe that's what they all changed it to because it was raining at that point. But this caution lasted 31 minutes. Because I saw someone at 511 tweet, this caution's been going on for 25 minutes, and they got restarted at, I believe, 5:17 Central Time. It's just unacceptable, man. I mean, like, especially if we're going to start these races later in the day, like NBC, which this was an NBC decision. This was not, NASCAR in Chicago being like, hell yeah, let's do it this time. NBC had the final say on this, especially with IndyCar being earlier and all of that. Which that won't be a problem next year at least, because I believe this race, if it comes back, would be on TNT, and IndyCar would be on Fox, so no big problem there. But if you're gonna have a later start, I think you need to, one, and I get the rain was a little bit an issue on this, you need to have the cautions go away at the stage ends. I think in general they should have stayed away. People complained because there wasn't a caution flag, and that's more of the car's fault than I would say anyone else. Scrap the cautions in the stages, and if it ends with rain like that, and you're going to keep them under caution so you can let people pit and everybody get on the wet weather tires, just deem the stage official. Because if you're not going to race, like, yeah, somebody, I don't know, could have a flat tire and have to pit, or an engine issue or something. But if you, in the name of trying to get the most racing in, I think that, NASCAR's never been afraid to bend rules before. I think that's something in general that, at least with road courses, you should do. If a race ends up being 2 hours long, run it at its full distance because the drivers are really good, or maybe the cars are too good. Make the cars harder to drive. Or praise the drivers for not crashing. We don't need a million crashes to make a good race. I'm not crazy about that. So I'm going to ask you guys this. Do you want to get rid of stage yellows again at the road courses? Because I'm all for that. Personally, I think that I think it makes it better due to strategy. Road course racing, I think in NASCAR, the biggest draw is strategy. So we're going to start the poll on that one. But for me, I say we've seen 2 years in a row where it's rained. I get that year one, just biblical downpour. I told a lot of people, because I used to live up in northern Illinois, that it rains a lot in July in northern Illinois and Chicago, but like these last 2 years are just kind of different. They're different in the sense that it's almost like NASCAR came to town and it just rained harder both of these years. And it's gonna rain, especially in the summer in the Midwest, the most around that hottest hour to evening hours, that 4 Central to 6 Central, which is something we've seen. We saw it with Chicagoland, actually, in its last 2 years. We saw rain roll in around, maybe a little earlier than that, but generally in that hot, humid afternoon time. Same with 2018 after the Chicagoland race. So I'm all for starting this next year at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, you're probably getting rid of a great window when it comes to TV ratings, but I think last year was an anomaly of getting great TV ratings because NBC did a great job marketing it, but everyone was sort of waiting for it. They wanted to see how it ended. Year 2 is going to be the real test. If they wait around again, I guess you're going to see it stay there no matter who is the provider. But I'd say 2 p.m. just because the weather issue, I think the people at the track, which there were a lot more this year than last year, I think they deserve to see a full race run, which they have never got to. We had, 58 laps this year, 75 last year, 75 of 100 last year, 58 of 75 this year. They deserve to see a full race. People on TV, I don't think we should have to wait around all day. And it's not a 100% fix, but it's a solution. Anyway, back to it. By the way, for those leaving super chats, we'll read those at the end of the summary. And if you tag at the Iceberg in there, I will see you. Not necessarily read it, but I will see it. I see it's Despicable Me 4 banners were in turn 8. Yeah, I saw that. That was kind of weird. I made a 4th one of those. Anyway, we'll talk about Bowman's win in a bit. Let's continue on. Lap 25. Hi, Spencer. You're the first one to do it. Lap 25, we get it restarted again. That's a lot of water on the track, a lot of rain, visibility's low. It's Zane Smith and Christopher Bell up front. Gibbs would end up actually getting a lead out of this. And you had a bunch of stuff happen in this lap. You had Bubba Wallace around in front of Suarez. There's just not much visibility, so a lot of these guys just barrel into whoever there is. It reminded me of a race I actually went to, 2021 Circuit of the Americas. Briscoe was around. That brought out a caution. When he went around, it wrecked SVG, ended his race. Red flag immediately for the Downpour, and we're under the red flag, unfortunately. And it's for about 90 to 100 minutes, give or take. But when we do get back racing, it's single file from that point forward. I'm not going to make you wait forever to hear that part. We're not going to have a red flag during this. When we do get back racing, though, single file restarts for the rest of the race, which is probably a smart move. I get probably at the end they could have went back to double file, but I commend NASCAR for not purposefully wanting to just end the race with carnage and destruction. I think Nashville alone probably is like, ooh, gun shy about that. So Gibbs again would lead. You'd have different wrecks and stuff and spins throughout this. There's so many I didn't keep taking notes about it, but Bell would end up back with the lead. The big turning point, I think, from this point forward of somebody speed-wise who could go against Bell and might have actually pulled a similar strategy to that of Alex Bowman was Kyle Larson, who went head-on into turn 6 wall, into the tires, ended his day immediately. And again, another favorite out. 39th on the day for Kyle Larson, right ahead of SVG. The 2 favorites for this race of the 3, including Bell, out. Get back restarted. Bell's off and away for the most part. Josh Berry would end up wrecking with Briscoe. This is over and over and over again. The SHR guys today had an awful day, man. I mean, just absolutely atrocious day when it came to spins, crashes, and yellows in any way from SHR. It had to have been at least half of the spins out there, including at least the 4 14 or 41. Noah Gragson, surprisingly, was the clean one, I think, out of the entire stable. But there would be a land rush to the pits at the end of this. This is the biggest turning point of the race. Everyone's going into the pits. They're going to get slick tires. They are crawling around the track at this point. And it ends out with Hand winning stage 2 over Bowman, Keselowski, Hocevar, Truex, as well as Gragson, Hemrick, Stenhouse, Burton, and Hamlin. Top 10 and a bunch of others stayed out on wet weather tires. And as long as there were cautions that kept their tires cooler and maybe kept the track a bit cooler so that the water didn't wash away, you were looking, I think, at that point at a winning strategy. If it goes green the whole way, I think Bell, Gibbs, Reddick, you name it, whoever shows up there first is the winner of this race. They needed a few things to really go right with that clock. They needed long cautions, which they got. And we'll go into the final stage because it was very, very short. But the first, we're going to end this here. Do you want to get rid of stage yellows again at the road courses? 80% of you to 20% say yes over no. I'm right there with you. That's when I'm right there with you. No matter what. I just think it would make the racing better. And we'd probably get a lot more racing in today. Anyway. Lap 49, Joey Hand leads us to the restart. Bowman's in pursuit. You got guys like Allmendinger who are buried in a tire barrier, but Bowman does not let the 60 get away. And at the end of the stage, he was doing the same thing. You could tell the 48 was hooked up for the wet weather. He ends up getting past him on what would, I believe, be 7 laps to go ultimately in the race itself. Of course, Barry crashes again, so we have another caution, and it bunches it all up. With less than 5 minutes left, we restart. Bowman leading this. 5 minutes left till the countdown ends. Bowman leading this race, gets a huge jump, but Christopher Bell is on the charge. He is on the charge, making up spot after spot after spot. He is easily the fastest car on track, and if Reddick was 2 seconds faster in the closing laps when he was trying to run down Bowman, I believe Bell would have easily got by him, but he gets collected in an incident with Truex as well as Carson Hocevar and others, gives him a lot of damage, ends his day in 37th. So the 3 big kind of main characters that we're looking at heading in, Bell, Larson, SVG, all 37th or lower. And at this point, it is just calamity through the pack. Guys spinning left and right. You got guys getting crashed. You had John Hunter Nemechek, who ended up getting his back tires, I believe, off the ground a good amount, which I didn't think we would ever see at a road course like this, a slower road course at that like this in that turn. But all of this is behind Alex Bowman and Tyler Reddick. Bowman leads at triple zeros here on lap 56, so we essentially have 2 laps to go. Reddick is charging 2 seconds a lap faster. He is flying up there, and while Bowman did scrape the wall a bit, Reddick got in the wall even more. He went from being about a second back right there, probably easily able to close in on Bowman to completely out of it. And Alex Bowman, in one of the most Alex Bowman ways, ends up winning this race and does not in any way fight the Mickey win allegations, the backing into a win allegations in any way, but it's his 8th career win, locks himself into the NASCAR playoffs. And with that means all 4 Hendrick cars are in. And I'll say this, even though he backed in, because let's be honest, it was a great strategy from his crew chief Blake Harris, who got his first career win. But let's be completely honest here, like that everything had to go right for him to win that. But can we please, even with all of that, can we please stop asking for his head on a pike and replacing him? Like, the guy won a race. He won a pretty damn big race. I'm just seeing everyone upset with it. But yeah, I mean, that was the 2024 Chicago street race. I personally, I'm torn because when they actually were able to race and they weren't just making asses of themselves, flying into each other, flying into walls, doing whatever, I actually did enjoy the fact that you were able to pass more. I thought that overall, it was a better weekend in large amounts than last year. But the rain definitely ruined it. Obviously, put a damper, complete pun intended, on all of our weekend. I don't know, like, because I saw you guys rating like 7, 8s, and 2s and 3s. I'm kind of just in the middle. I'm kind of meh about this race. And before anyone comes in and says, oh, biased Chicagoland fan, I want this race to succeed. Because if this race succeeds, the Chicago area gets more ingrained with NASCAR culture, and there's a better shot of bringing Chicagoland back down the line, which will have amazing freaking racing with this car. But it's just kind of a blah kind of day because, again, of things that in some part you can try and plan around with the weather, but at large part are out of the control of NASCAR. I feel like the red flag for me is what kind of dampened it, because it's like they called them back to the cars, they got it back started. I'm like, let's go, and then another one ran through. And I'm not blaming NASCAR for it, but it's just like, come on, can we catch a break? I think every single weekend that NBC has been back, we've had rain delays or rain problems in every way, and it sucks, man. But I want to ask you guys this. What is your favorite race of the weekend? Was it Cup or was it Xfinity? Just NASCAR race. I should probably say that. What's your favorite NASCAR race of the weekend? Because everyone's going to go IndyCar or F1. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. Which IndyCar had a pretty good ending, I think, for the most part, at least from what I caught. But what was your favorite of the weekend? Cup or Xfinity? Let me know. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 5. Like, I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike really any particular parts of it other than the stuff that any race fan would dislike, like red flags, rain delays, all that BS. But I can't say that I really liked it. You know, there's going to be a lot of people who have agendas. They're going to be like, you know, I liked it because this, and this, or I hated it because this and this. I just don't fall really into either of those. I'm just kind of in the middle on this one. It feels weird because I'm usually on one end or the other when it comes to polarizing conversations of sport, but I'm just kind of in the middle. I just kind of want to see what the city's reaction is, if anything. I think that's actually the most interesting part that I'm going to come out of this with is, you know, because the mayor was there, who is initially and ran on being against this race. He's there in full NASCAR fire suit and NASCAR memorabilia, like fully embracing it. So, because you know, I see some in there like Duke Chronic saying like it's great, it was great racing. Like I think it was solid. I wouldn't say it was great. Like, you know, I go back to like Gen 4 COT, Gen 6 road course racing, and I think it's better than this. Like it was decent, but it wasn't like mind blowing or anything. I think again, the water and the rain had more to do with it. I think a lot of people's takeaway from this comes from the storyline of the winner. Last year we had this amazing storyline of SVG coming in, winning in his first start. We almost had a repeat of that with Hand. And this year with Bowman, you got somebody who's pretty popular, but a lot of people like dislike him because, you know, he backs into wins, or he doesn't deserve the 48, or he's the weak link at Hendrick. And I think that's gonna really be the judge of where people go with that. I want to hear from those who were in attendance and also what the city thinks so that we can see where to go from here. I'm going to end the poll here because I want to know. So I know that you want it to come back next year, but by the way, 79% say Xfinity, 21% Cup. But I'll put another poll up for you because I know you want it to. For the most part, at least 65% of you do. But do you think Chicago brings it back? Because next year is the first big kind of option year of the deal. You have that whole 100-something day window. Do you think Chicago has NASCAR back next year? And I'll let you know my thought after I put it up. Do you think Chicago has NASCAR back next year? Poll is up now on my end, and we'll get to super chats in a moment, I swear. I'm keeping track of what you guys say. I see a lot of people 50-50 on it. I'm going to say yes. I think they do. I think this year, from what I heard, attendance-wise, it was actually much larger than last year. Probably brought in a lot more money to the city. I think that on top of that, you have a lot less time build-wise when it comes to setting the track back up and all together. I do think they will, at least for the third year, because I know then there's an option for a 2-year extension. I really don't think, no matter how next year goes, the city will. I think it's all up to the city. If it's up to NASCAR, they're coming back. Everything for NASCAR, especially even if there's only like 3.5 million viewers compared to last year having almost 5. That's still really big for a NASCAR race with a bunch of problems going on. That would be 200,000 more than Nashville. But I do think it's coming back if it's up to NASCAR. I think pretty much all parties involved but Chicago would be like, yep, let's bring this baby back. Let's figure out better ways to like change stuff. The concert scene looked really good, all of that. So I think it is. But I will admit, last year there was still even some talk in the city about it not coming back when it was a rousing success. When there was like $100+ million brought into the city after a $3 million investment or whatever the city made into it. Trust me, I lived up in Northern Illinois. I never understood Chicago politics. I stayed out of it. That's just the nature, though, of the street racing scene, is that you're going to have the political aspect come in with it. But I do think it is. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat here. Like Zero Chill saying Chicago's a cool city with bad leadership. Others saying install lights. That's more of a thing, I think, that has to go through like the Park District and others. I think that's something that, while I think we would all like it, probably not gonna happen. Let's see. Put up an awning over the entire racetrack. I wish. Let me know what you think. Like, yes or no, and why. Yeah, like Immortal in there says it right. It is all about money. It's all about money. Timmy Wolf, you see my hat. I want to return to Chicagoland as well. Yeah, curfew still exists. But I do think it comes back next year. I'm hoping, if it does, that they actually have good weather. I put on Twitter, and it was like kind of went around the NASCAR Twitter scene. I had said that like I want to see a race in Death Valley, simply for the fact to see if we could summon rain anywhere in the world when NASCAR comes to town. Hey, listen, I'm going under the most realistic assessment of this. I think 2026 Chicagoland comes back after the street race deal runs out. If it's up to me, we go back to Chicagoland. I think it would have the better racing. Probably not, but it would not have a better crowd or TV ratings. And that's what NASCAR is going to look at. They're trying to build it, bring it to the people. I think Pittsburgh, though, that's a city that seems really, really interested. I think that would be the go-to if you were to go to another city. There, or probably Denver is the big one that's talked about. I know there's been talk about Seattle. But Pittsburgh opened their arms to you. And I think that's like that seems more like a NASCAR city. But yeah, I mean, let me know in the chat. What city would you want them to go to next? I know some people. I saw one say Denver and immediately never Denver. I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the chat, what city do you want them to go to? And don't give me some like town with like 1,000 people in it or less or something. Give me like actual big cities here that you think NASCAR would be really good at. It's gonna be a lot of New Yorks, I see. Milwaukee. With Milwaukee, you gotta go the Milwaukee Mile, like the trucks are doing. Denver's in there. Cincinnati's a great city. I love Cincinnati. Jesus Christ. St. Louis. Well, we already got Gateway in St. Louis. Miami, you already got Homestead, and there's rumors of that being renovated. DC, I would love DC, especially if you maybe just raced around the Redskins Stadium. Minneapolis, there is a quiet but large group of race fans up in the whole Wisconsin, Minnesota area. Minneapolis might actually be like a sleeping giant of racing fans, or it could be a complete disaster. I don't know. Cleveland. Let's see. Oh, I said the old name. Yeah. It's always going to be the Redskins for me. I don't care. Like, do not care. Just like the Cleveland Indians are always going to be the Cleveland Indians. Let's see. Tampa or Orlando. I think with Florida, I think you got, like, practically again, Florida has so many tracks. You got Homestead. You could probably go to Sebring one day if you wanted to. You got Daytona. I don't think that's one. Texas has 2 tracks. Detroit's one. That's a city that's on the up and up, at least when it comes to marketing. I've seen a few Baltimores in there. I'm not sure just yet if they would, just because that is, I believe, somewhat near a couple tracks. Pacific Northwest would be a big one. I don't see a Vegas one with the track being there. SMI would never allow it. The only reason I think Chicago was allowed, like if Chicagoland was owned by SMI, I don't think this street race ever happens because they would see it as a threat. I mean, just never underestimate SMI's ability to overthink a conversation or about anything. Let's see. Christian Smith says, the mayor was doing hot laps. You know what? I hope that actually going to the race and interacting with people and talking to NASCAR changes his mind on it. I really hope that. Well, like I said, I'm not the craziest. I'm not a big street race defender, but I want this to succeed. So I hope for NASCAR's sake, that his mind's a little open to it. It's just about the money. It's about how much money under the table NASCAR hands him. No one wants to say it, but we all know it's true. Let's get to the super chat side of things, guys. I appreciate it. I'll try and keep an eye on the chat itself, just going back and forth. We'll let the poll roll. But let's get on into it. CBB with the first one here for the 5. For the love of God, Jarrett, finish the damn book so Calypso will leave our beloved sport the F alone. Let Eric do it. Chat GPT at anything. I beg you. I don't think it's me, man. NASCAR's been like this forever. Like the last 5 or so years, NASCAR just has this horrible luck with weather. Toast. I got Toast in the chat for the 5. Oh, and by the way, well, I should say, because we were talking about, there's the post-race results. NWP, by the way, is on this channel this Wednesday with, the Eric Estep and Danny B Talks co-host with me, as well as John Ramos coming on. So that should be a lot of fun. We got an announcement about the 2024 NWP 400 for all those that are interested and invested in that. So you better be here. I believe we'll do it. We'll talk about that right after the lightning round on Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Back on our normal night and time. So, yeah, ticker's on now. I probably spelled people's names wrong. I'm not going to lie. There it is. But Toast says, KFB top 10, I could cry. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. But yeah, I mean, good run for Kyle Busch. It sucks, though, just because of how everything went, that he really didn't gain anything on that cut line with a really good run today. That team needs to win. And I don't know about the team, but I know Kyle Busch, he is somebody who could win. I hope for your sake he does. Gary Boogie for the 5. 2 out of 10. 2 best cars got wrecked, and we never got any fun racing after that. And the vibe, not NASCAR's fault, was pretty awful. Didn't enjoy this one. Again, I wouldn't put it as a 2 out of 10. I didn't really hate it. I think the vibe part is just TV trying to salvage a bad situation. Unfortunately, 2 straight years of that. Super Noob for the 2. Can we have Road America back now? At least in Xfinity. I know that this year, I believe they weren't on the schedule due to questions or concerns about the repave. I don't know how much I believe of that, but it should be back in at least Xfinity. Trucks has Milwaukee Mile. I don't think you want to do 2 races that are within like an hour drive of each other with that, even though you probably could with Charlotte, Wilkesboro, and Rockingham and all those back in the day, but I don't think NASCAR would say that justifies 2 races in 2 series. Or in 1 series, but it should at the very least, have Xfinity back. Road America is just a different beast, man, and it deserves a NASCAR race. It definitely deserves Xfinity. Gooby's Fun Zone for the 5. Hell must have frozen over because Busch didn't crash out. It's been a rough go, man, and these all say here. Boniques for the 2. Gilliland or Bell should have won. Probably Bell. I think Bell probably had the best car today and has nothing really to show for it except, let's see, finished second in the first stage. Robbie here for the 5. Would it be hard to add temporary lights on a street course? It's already pretty well lit by the street lights. Couldn't be that hard, right? You would think so. I think it's a lot having to do with, one, the setup time and all of that. The park district and those that are involved in getting fans in and out. I think it has a lot to do with that, and I think it's probably just too much of a headache for those who, those who run it. I think I guess they're just banking on it being a day race, and if that's the case, at least move it back an hour or so. One of these days, we'll get a clean day without rain. Austin Blanchett for the 2. Was this the last Chicago street race? I mean, Bowman won it. And remember what happened last time Bowman won at a Chicago track? I was there. I'd know. It was the last race at our beloved Chicagoland. For now. Trust me. Fred Dog 81 for the 2. It was a very, very, very bad day today. Yes, it was. I felt like every other lap I was seeing an SHR car slide into a wall or into a barrier or into somebody. Rocky Gordon for the 9-month member chat. No Saucy Nuggs. 0 out of 10. Yeah, the Saucy Nuggs were soggy today. Bobby Blair for the 5. After all, Bowman's been through. Congrats to him. Long time coming. Also bring back Chicagoland. Well, I'm on you on that one. I am with you with that one. As for Bowman, yeah, I mean, after everything he's been through, I am happy for Alex Bowman getting a win. I know that, there's the deal with him and Bubba, and I have a feeling probably Bubba down the line will get back at him. Those two definitely do not exactly see eye to eye with each other. We saw after the race, because I was actually trolling a few of you Bubba fans because it's just so damn easy. But he was not happy, so I could totally see something happening there. But I'm very happy for Alex Bowman. I'm very happy for him. I see Peter in the chat saying Bowman needs to win at Bowman Gray. I agree. That'd be really freaking funny. Garabuki for the 5. The only people who like this race are Bowman and Hendrick fans. Change my mind. I don't think that's the truth at all. I think there's a lot of people who did like this race. Either people who really like things that are new. A lot of people did actually really like the racing. There's some new fans, especially that came in, who really like kind of this modernization effort by NASCAR. So I will respectfully disagree on that one. Bobby Blair for the 5. For a second, I thought Joey Hand was going to win this race. So did I. I thought he was too. But Bowman catching him at the end of stage 2. That was where I'm like, ooh, the 48 might actually be the one to beat here. I'd love to see Hand win, but I don't think it's going to happen. Jake leaves his 10th super chat here for the 5 on the channel ever. Getting a bit tired of playing grab ass in the rain. What is NASCAR's record for the number of weeks in a row they've had to deal with weather issues? I do not know that, but my God, we have to be testing it. It's been rough this year, especially with NBC. M. Martin fan for life for the 2. I love that NASCAR let the teams choose the tires. Yes, I agree, and I think it should always be that way, unless it's a very special occasion. Void for the 5 says, worse than the Brickyard in 2008. Keith Urban is not an excuse to start the race that late. My least favorite driver, Mickey Moused his way into a win again. I have a feeling that's why you think it's worse than the 08 Brickyard, but I watched that race. No, this is not as bad as the Brickyard that year. There's Brickyards that are better, but not that one. Fred Dog 81 for the 5. I'm sorry, but despite what they say, NASCAR can't race in wet weather. Today was just a mess to watch. Yesterday was far better in clear conditions. Well, yeah. I mean, they're new at this. The racing, I think, for NASCAR with these heavy cars will always be better in clean and clear conditions. But I still think, I mean, New Hampshire was awesome in the rain, or in the wet at least. Maybe like a ton of rain, no, but in the wet or even some kind of like sprinkles, like that was pretty damn cool. And how quickly we forget about that. I thought New Hampshire was pretty damn awesome. Blake, thank you for the 2. Thoughts on the ending clock? I didn't mind it. I think it's a much better solution than just arbitrarily saying, okay, this is going to be the last lap in 10 laps like New Hampshire that year, or cutting the laps and hoping that we didn't race into the darkness like last year. Having a set time that both the city and NASCAR can agree on, I think is the best way to go about it. I don't exactly like some of the other options. I don't like leaving it a ton up to chance. I just think at that point you're playing with fire when it comes to optics, and you're playing with fire when it comes to finishing. And at that point, then you're also playing with fire when it comes to giving the fans a good finish they deserve. Reverend Rasheem Hall Stewart for the 250. Happy that Lewis Hamilton won today and fell for SVG. Yeah, I did see that Lewis won today. Granted, I'll admit I was just found it on Twitter, but I did think that after how long it's been, it was pretty cool seeing him win. I know a lot of people are comparing it to the caution clock. I don't think it's the caution clock. The caution clock is basically, oh no, they're racing too clean. We need to bunch them up to crash more. This was, we have a set time to finish. Unfortunately, we can't get the whole race in, making the best out of a bad situation. Bad situation in part the TV and NASCAR caused, sure. You can argue that, but making the best out of a bad situation. Tyler for the 5. In my opinion, not a Mickey win. All teams knew the end time. All teams saw the track. He played the strategy right and won the race. Congrats to Bowman. In that respect, yes. I think that it's not a Mickey win in the sense that the team just played it right. But they did have to have a lot of luck to have it happen. But Bowman, I read it earlier. Bowman finished, second in the second stage when everybody pitted, but he also finished 6th in the first stage. He had the most stage points on the day. It was not like he had a horrible car. A Mickey win to me is like Zane Smith's Daytona win, or Justin Haley. Justin Haley. See, I can't even remember the guy's name when he won because it was so damn just Mickey. Justin Haley's Daytona win, where it's like he had no reason whatsoever to even be up there, and he won. Like Austin Dillon in 2022 at Daytona. That's a full-on Mickey win. I don't think this is as bad. Not by any means. Immortal for the 5. I'm going to ignore other people. You said ignore twice in there. Ignore other people who say Bowman, and I'm going to be celebrating this win. Be happy, man. If your driver won, be happy. Isaac for the 5. Oh my God, I can't believe it. I'm so happy right now that all the pain is over. Celebrate long and hard tonight, Bowman fans. Have a lot of bourbon in honor of your driver. Just maybe don't wake up naked in your bathroom, especially if other people live with you. They probably don't want to see that. I can't believe he said that on TV. Like, that's funny as hell. I'll tell you what. When we interviewed Bowman on NWP a couple years ago, I was surprised both during the interview and then before and after talking to him, like how good of a sense of humor he had. Why the hell is Hendrick hiding that? This dude has an amazing sense of humor and he barely ever gets to show it. Like, this dude is one of the funniest drivers out there and nobody knows it. Let the man speak. Let Bowman speak. Bobby for another 5 here. As a Truex fan, all I feel is pain. I need this season to end. Nah, man, you got to enjoy it while it lasts. I know he's coming back for the 500 and some part-time stuff, but I'm just telling you, man, as a Junior fan and knowing Jimmy fans and Gordon fans, Stewart and Kenseth, all of them, enjoy it. Like, do not just hope it ends. Even if it sucks, enjoy it. Because a year or two from now, you're really going to miss it. Even the bad days. Steve Lane here for... hold on. Just resetting me. Steve Lane, where's your super chat? Where'd it go there? So hard to be a 23 fan. Proud of him to get a top 15, but what a moment of madness during cooldown. Might get a penalty for that and end his playoff chances. I don't think he'll get a penalty. The NASCAR's never really penalized for door slamming, either good or bad, after the race ends. Unless it's something like Carl Edwards with Dale Jr. back in 06, and I don't think even then they really penalized him all that much. So I don't really think it's going to be a penalty-worthy decision. But yeah, I mean, that's something, you can see the pressure, I think, mounting at that point. Fred Dog, thank you for another 5. What's with Bubba? It's like he is pissing away all the maturity and progress he made over the past year or so, and it may cost him a playoff spot. I mean, I can look at the grid again, but I have a feeling he's got a ways to go playoff wise. He's Yeah, he's 45 points. I mean, you can make that up. You got 53 to make up on Ross, but those guys still can be pretty damn solid, Ross and Buscher. I think he's going to have to win to get in. Maybe watch out for him at Michigan. That'd be a track, I think. But I don't think that playoff-wise he's going to point his way in. As for the maturity side of it, I'm fine with drivers letting out a little emotion. I don't think it was all that egregious personally. I think it'd be more egregious if he like flat out tried to spin him on the cooldown lap or something like that. But I think you can tell the pressure is probably getting to him, and probably the stress of like having a kid soon is probably getting to him, I would imagine. Jets Mets for the 2. So has NASCAR learned something today? 2 p.m. I'm down with that, man. 2 p.m. Central or Eastern, I don't care. TJ for the 2. Street race proved good. Needs to move cities. I'd be cool with that. I'm not some people might find this crazy. Not the biggest fan of Chicago as a city. Went there a lot growing up and in my teens and 20s, and going for special occasions and stuff. It's a fine city to go in. It's not like the worst city ever by any means. I know a lot of people will say that, but I'm just not a big fan of Chicago, and it's probably just because like living nearby, I really didn't, relatively nearby, I really don't see it as something all that special to me, but to each your own. Hendrick Motorsports fan 5 for the 5. Oh, it's funny, like some are saying like, oh, it's a dangerous city, but it's like, yeah, we race in St. Louis too. Just saying. I mean, like, we race around Richmond. Like dangerous cities or in dangerous cities never has really mattered to NASCAR. Hendrick Motorsports fan 5 for the 5. If NASCAR could manufacture a high-speed rain tire, Daytona, Talladega, and Charlotte would be covered. Congrats to Bowman, though. No, I never want to see that because I think it would just be pure stupidity. Crash the Hedgehog 92 for the 2. Happy for Bowman, but hashtag Chicagoland forever. Yeah, I'm with you. Tyler with the 5 here. I think the track should come back for one more year. Gotta try to have a good dry race. Just don't start so late next time. Let's get all 100 laps in. Well, I think 75 is. I think 75 is actually a really good distance. I'd be down though for that again. That early start time. Rock's reviews and reactions for the 2. The pain keeps hitting as an MTJ fan week after week. Yeah. But again, enjoy the pain because you ain't going to feel that same pain ever again in both good and bad ways. Not saying to enjoy the pain that bad, but hey, what's up, Smoke Carvin? Good to see you, man. Cars would hydroplane at Daytona. Yeah, they would. I never want to see rain tires at a super speedway. Bryce for the 10. You have to get rid of stage yellows, period, at every track. I do agree. I will not back down from saying this. Why are we delaying a race? I'm passionate about this. Please, for the love of God, get rid of it. I'm with you. NASCAR wants to try and compact these races similar to like how baseball does with the pitch clock. NASCAR has made an effort to shorten races from 500 to 400 miles. They've made efforts to streamline different procedures to make races flow by better. They've talked about attention span and stuff like that. You could naturally decrease the time of a race by 15 to 30 minutes by just getting rid of stage yellows, depending on what track. Any track. And I think you would keep the flow of the race going. You still award the points. It's not like these guys are just going to stop racing for points. They will keep racing for them. So I'm all for it, man. Every track, I'd be down. Eric W. for the 10 gifted memberships. So thank you for that. And I'm sure many are happy with that as well. Sam Harris for the 15. Well, Formula 1 and IndyCar had flag-to-flag racing. The racing was good. You don't need a caution to make things interesting. Agreed. David Bell with the 10-month member chat. Throwing away wins because who needs them? Yeah, I feel for you, man. I feel for you. Sergeant Peckers for the 5. W for Kyle Busch, top 10, 5 out of 10 day. Oh, good for Kyle. Immortal for the 5. When was the last time in the Cup Series in a full season was affected? Let's see. When was the last time in the Cup Series in a full season that was affected by weather? I don't know exactly what you're asking, but if it's like this many races is what you're asking, it's been a while. 2007 was really bad for weather. 2020 got affected, but not really as much because of weather. Bryce for the 10. If we are in the digital age, why would we slow down a race and not get the race over with as quick as possible? Just makes sense. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Jake, with 5 here. Full circle moment. Bowman wins the last Chicagoland race, and Bowman wins potentially the final Chicago street race. Chicagoland returned, confirmed. I swear to God, if it ended like this, like I'm gonna make like a 20-minute video about that. Like I'll get Eric on board. I'll get like Danny B, definitely Danny B, the Bowman fan. I'll get like Ellie Productions at Slap. I'll get anyone who wants to, and we'll make a video about like how the hell is this happening and like what is this Nostradamus shit. Ralph for the 5 here says this is worse than 2021 COTA. And I was at COTA. For the love of God, please go back to Chicagoland. Yeah, I mean, I think when it got really bad visibility-wise it was, but I personally don't think so. And again, I'm still with you. Go back to Chicagoland. As much as a lot of the industry shills would, say, well, the attendance was bad in 2018 and 19 because, the attendance wasn't bad anywhere else. And I guarantee you all the people talking bad about Chicagoland's attendance and about how it should never come back, I guarantee if it comes back, those will be the same people being like, it's great to be back at this track. We'll have some of the best racing out there. Like, they'll switch a tune real quick because that's just sort of what a lot of them do. Zare for the 1-month member chat. Thoughts on the Bowman lucky mid allegations? He is not mid. I think he can be very lucky at times. And again, if that's how you define backing to win, sure. He had a lot of luck today. There's been a lot of races he had luck. He's not a bad driver. I'm sick of this crap take that Alex Bowman is a bad driver. He's not, and it needs to end. The dude wins almost every year. He's won 4 races in a season before, and trust me, not all of them were Mickey wins. He's a good driver. Is he Chase Elliott? Is he William Byron? Is he Kyle Larson? No, he's not. Like, let's be real. But is he a very good driver who could make the playoffs and make it far in the playoffs? Yes, he is. Yeah, I'm here with I'm on this one here with Crystal John in the chat saying mid is a term that has totally lost its purpose. It is. It's been overused and yeah, sure. By the colloquial sense of mid now, sure, yeah, he's mid, I guess, whatever. Because mid apparently is if you don't win 5 or 6 races a year, you're mid. Sorry, it bugs me, man. It annoys me. Like, let's see. Bowman's all right, not the best, but top 15 driver. I mean, I'd argue when Bowman's on it and not having like a broken back in a season or something like that, I'd argue he's a top 10 driver personally. Top 10 to 12. I would say 15th is too low. David Bell for another 2. Bowman and Bubba had beef from lap 1. Yeah. They've had beef for a while. Anyone remember the Roval? Brody for the 10. Are you going to Michigan this year? Would love to meet you this year. I have my own podcast that I'm going to reactivate. Spinning Out Podcast. You're awesome, by the way. Love the show. Well, thank you. Good luck with that, for one. I'm probably not going to be at Michigan this year. I might be at Indy in 2 weeks. I'm not sure yet. It's only a hop, skip, and a jump away from me, so I can wait long. I'm not sure, though, if I'll be at that. I will be at Kansas for sure. Steve-O for the 5. I say bring it here to San Diego and run it downtown around Padres Stadium and the gas lamp. No rain here to worry about, and they get the Southern California market. I almost read that as social. I'd be down. I've always wanted to go to San Diego. My dad used to live there, so he's always told me about it, and I would love to live there, or not live there, go there. I don't want to live in California ever, but I'd love to go there. SW for the 2. Bubba v. Bowman. Oh boy, that could get fiery. because they both, I think, are going to run around each other. Jesus, it reset again. I appreciate all the super chats. There's a lot of them in here, and I appreciate everyone in the chat still going. And I said I'd leave that poll going. So, but I appreciate it. Let's see. Hot take: San Diego over Los Angeles. I don't think that's much of a hot take. I did see this really cool thing about Los Angeles where they told them not to light off fireworks, and then the entire city lit them off. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, that's just awesome. I think fireworks should be legal everywhere in the United States. Robbie for the 2. Need to take this street race to LA, Long Beach, California. Nah, they already tried, but they already had a race in LA for a bit. I don't think Long Beach is happening either. But I'd be down taking it to San Diego. Would be cool. Jake for the 5. NASCAR would probably have to sacrifice Pocono to race in Pittsburgh. Not necessarily. I don't think so, because I think that would anger a very, very large fan base, and Pocono's a pretty good TV rating town. You'd probably have to move the races so they don't overlap. Like back in the day, Pocono used to be like 5 weeks away from the other Pocono race, and then 7. You'd probably have to, like, say, have Pocono in the start of June, and then Pittsburgh maybe in August. Maybe not August. Maybe switch those then. Pittsburgh in, like, June, and then August Pocono. But I don't see why you couldn't at least have 2 in that market for a bit. Latchy Forever saying yeet. NASCAR Fanatic 2425 for the 5 saying had to record the race and to rest before work. They really need to schedule races better. Hate it for Larson, but congrats to Alex Bowman. We're covering a lot of ground that we've covered, but I appreciate each one. Fred Dog for the 2, no love for San Fran for a street race. Maybe. I don't know. It's all about locations in the city and how it all work out. And I don't have enough to talk about when it comes to that one to have a decent opinion. Ross Crash Stain for the 5. Alex, it's 106 miles to Chicago. I've got a full tank of gas, half pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Blake Harris, hit it. Nice Blues Brothers reference. The Highline Podcast. I appreciate the 10 as I'm losing my voice. 4.5 out of 10. I'd take 5 overtime finishes from last weekend over a race finishing 20 laps short because it's dark every time. More racing is better than shortened races. Street races belong just not in the summer. I like this one better personally. I think that you can have more racing, but I think you need to have that quality factor too. Jaden with the first super chat in the channel for the 2. Street courses are good, but maybe Long Beach. I'd be down, but I don't think so after what's gone on there. Beans 9943 for the 5. Do you think, given the history of weather, NASCAR should make the start time earlier? I'd be down with it, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. Reverend Rasheem Hall Stewart for the 2. Need to put Daytona back as the 4th of July race. I would love that. I don't think it's ever going to happen since the city doesn't want it. SW for the 5. But for real, Bubba still can't catch a break. Yeah, he does have some bad luck, I will admit. Gory for the 10. How can you say Bowman backed into this win? He has the most top 10s this year. Well, I don't think what you've done before a race really counts as what you've done towards it, but he has had some of them. He is one of the most top 3, I believe, most top 10s this year, and has been getting better since he broke his back. Did Logano back into win last week? Yes, he did. He did not deserve to win, or at the very least, there was some factors that definitely helped him out that should or could not have been there otherwise. I don't think Bowman backed into it as much as, say, Logano did. But either way, Bowman was fast today. He was up there all day. They played the right strategy, and they got lucky that things went right. And that's every race. I don't think it's a full-on back in any way. Mr. Bad Guy for the 5. Feels like NASCAR is a bit too chaotic these days. Sometimes I'm grateful for a boring race. Apologies for this atrocious take. No, it's not atrocious. I get it, man. I'd like more straightforward races sometimes. Too much chaos can, I think, numb the senses for fans, or it can sway fans to think that every race needs to be that way when it really doesn't. Hence why so many fans say it should only be unlimited overtimes rather than have any limits whatsoever. Tyler for the 5. Byron was the highest of the finishers of those who went a lap down in stage 1. Good drive back up to the front. Do we have another freak winner? The remaining races, maybe if rain ends the race at Pocono, sure, or Michigan, because neither of them have lights. I don't see any at the Brickyard. I mean, there could, I guess. That place doesn't have lights either. But that I feel like the Brickyard is freak race winner proof, honestly. I don't see it at Richmond. Daytona it could, obviously. I don't really see it at Darlington. So we could, but I don't know for sure. And Napa Racing Fan says David Land was broken. I know he was doing a watch along on DL 500 Club, so I'm assuming that's where you saw it. The Hannah Montana 400 at Billings, Montana from Anime Power. That would have been probably really topical like 15 years ago. I remember when Hannah Montana was big. Oh, before Miley Cyrus went on a bunch of drug rampages. Jacob for the 5. Just throwing this out there. Bowman had the second highest average position through the race behind Gibbs and never ran below 14th at any point. Yeah, again, very solid day. I don't think he deserves a lot of the hate thrown at him. Grant says the race should have been on Peacock. Hard pass on that one. Jesus Christ, it just reset on me again. Fred Dog 81 for the 2. The race was on Peacock. I watched it there. Oh, if you meant it was like simulcast, yeah, it was on Peacock. I thought you meant just solely on Peacock, and I was like, no. Bryce for another 5. Appreciate you, Danny B and Eric, keeping me going through the season. I just want NASCAR to be better like everyone. Keep being great. Well, I appreciate it, and I think they appreciate it too. We'll be live on Wednesday night on this channel, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Should be a lot of fun. And I already got the random driver pick, so it should be fun too. And the sirens are going by, meaning I probably should end this baby soon. Tyler McGonigal for the 5. I'll be honest, was against this track to start with, but after 2 races, I love this track and see its potential. I want it to have a dry run. Same. I was very much against it. I can't say I'm for it, but I do want to see it have a fair shot. And I think, if you're critical of the track, I think that's the fairest you can be with it. Random guy named Hunter for the 5. I may be biased because there's no NASCAR tracks near me, but what's your thoughts on one race in every state? I know it will be a long season. No, as much as that would be good for all fans, you can never make it good for all fans, and you need to just try and make it best for the majority of fans. And on top of that, as much as it sucks to say, the majority of the fans are watching on TV rather than attending. It's just, with a series as popular as NASCAR, Cup, Xfinity, or even trucks, that's just going to be the reality of it. Anime Power 19 is pretty funny in there. You can put a few good ones in there. Smoke Carbon, there you are. How's it going, man? For the 2. Go to the Brickyard Ice. No balls. I'll be there. Again, all has to do with scheduling. I have a marathon I got to run the next week. And I had to fly out that same week, so. Patrick Keenan for the 2. Bowman 48 from State 48, winning like a snowbird. You guys are creative. I like it. Joe O with currently the last super chat on the gauntlet here for the 5. All SHR drivers should report to the infield care center to check for lead poisoning after they lick so many walls. That's funny. We're on the poll here, by the way. End it now. And thank you, Alessandro. For the wishing me good luck. I appreciate it. I might need it. I've gotten into better shape, but I'm not confident yet. But do you think that Chicago has NASCAR back next year? 62 to 38% of you say yes compared to no. And that's going to be it. Thank you guys for sticking it out with me. I know I'm long-winded, and there were a lot of super chats and a lot of things to talk about from the race, a lot of stuff from you guys in the chat I was trying to read. I was trying to be even with it. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Chris, for becoming an Iceberg member. Welcome to the Iceberg. I appreciate it a lot. I appreciate everybody's support, whether it's through super chats or member chats or just chatting in general. Never, ever feel like you have to pay me for anything. But thank you guys for coming on in. I appreciate you watching, and enjoy the rest of your night. Later, y'all.